Good morning.
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 How are you?
I'm good. Hot, but good.
It's honestly buzzing because I love the heat, but also, why does it have to be always hotter here when I'm going on holiday?
Always.
Always.
It's the rules.
Yeah. It's a nicer holiday heat though, so I'm alright about it.
I was thinking last night actually, and I was chuckling to myself. And you know, we're famous for going, "Oh, it's too hot."
Oh, it's too hot.
Oh, it's. I like it hot, but this is too hot, and all that. And you always get that one person that goes, "Well, do you know what? If it was cold, you'd be moaning that it was too cold." Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yes, I would, because I moan when it's too hot, and I also moan when it's too cold.
Yeah.
That's the rules. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it was cold, you'd be moaning that it was too cold. Absolutely, I would.
Yeah.
What
if it's
of
too
it?
windy.
Yeah. It's a bit windy today, isn't it? It's too windy today. Everything is too, especially in the UK, I feel. Everything is too much. It's not ever like, oh, it's just right, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like when you go on holiday and you're laying on the beach and you got that breeze. I mean, I'm trying to remember back to when I was last on holiday on the beach.
Well, I'm going on holiday next week, so I'll report back.
That's it. Yeah. Well, when next week when you're on the beach and you've got that breeze and it's just nice and it's just right, I want you to sit there and go, do you know what? This is just right. This is just right. This is perfect. And I'll be here going, do you know what? I like it hot, but it's too hot. This is too hot.
Yeah, but if it was cold, you'd moan if it's cold, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. Fucking would, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, random blams, go.
That was shit. No, we can do better than that.
No, that's what I'm going with. I caught you out. Yeah, go on. You do one then. How would you ease it in?
Do you know what else we moan about? Random blams. Go.
Fair
See?
enough. Yeah, fair enough.
I have a random blam and a joke.
Nice. Okay.
So, Josie, for some reason, loved this random fact. Mm-hmm. But do you know when you have fish and fishes?
Yeah. What,
fishes.
Have them to
Oh,
eat
you just
or
see,
as pets?
Just the words, really. You know, fish and fishes.
Oh.
So, to say the word fishes, you have to be describing two different species of fish. If there's like a school of clownfish or like two clownfish, that would be classed as fish. Even if there was two, you wouldn't say fishes. You'd say fish. But if there was a clownfish and a dory one, you'd say fishes.
A hippo tang.
Is that what they are?
Yeah, because I had one.
Did you? Of course you did. So yeah, just for some English grammar for everybody, that's what it is.
That's a good point, because sometimes you do say fishes and then other time you go, look at the fish.
Fishes in the water, fishes in the sea. We all jump up on a 1, 2, 3.
Never heard of that.
Really? You're not a cool parent.
No.
That's
I don't
what you do
really
in the
class
swimming
myself
pool.
as a parent.
No,
I don't
you're
even
not cool
class
either.
myself as cool or an adult. None of the above.
Yeah. Also, what would you call a fish with no eyes? What do you call a spider with 8 eyes?
What?
You're welcome.
I like that one. Oh, in fact, in celebration, I'll have a quick hot flush.
You've got yourself too excited now.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
What's your one?
Like it. Oh, speaking of eyes, that actually is my random blam. So I haven't got it written down. I've just got a reminder on my notes. And I was telling it's a gross random blam. So if you're grossed out or you're eating or anything like that, then just don't for a minute. So did you know that there is a specific fly that lays its eggs only on the eyeballs of cows, which is why you quite often will see these flies buzzing around.
Maggoty cow eyes.
Yeah. So they lay their eggs on the cow's eyeballs, and then the cow gets like mucus in its eye because it's got something in its eye that it shouldn't have. So it gets all this mucus and shit in its eye, and the eggs go into this mucus and then hatch into these worms. And these worms then hatch into flies, and the flies fly away. But there's bugger all that cows can do about it. There's been, I believe, 11 cases in the world where these flies have laid eggs, or eggs have got into a human's eyes and they've hatched. And the only way that you can get rid of these is to wait until they form into these worms and then physically pull the worms out of your eyes and dispose of them. You can have this medication that will like kill them off, but you can't do that, because if you killed them off, you would have dead worms in your eyes and that would cause an infection, blah, blah, blah. So the way that you get rid of it, if you are ever to have that, is to wait until you feel the worms wiggling and then move your eye around until you can get hold of one of them, pull them out, and you've just got to wait for them to hatch and then pull them out.
In a day and age where you can remove your eyeball and clean it, if you've got like metal and stuff in there.
Who's removing their fucking eyeballs to clean it?
If you get Barry's had it done, because he works with metal. If you get shards of metal and stuff in your eye, they pop it out of the socket, dangle it down, clean it. Nah.
No, fuck off.
No. Don't come at me with your squirmy fucking worm thing.
You just took it to another level then. Taking your eyeball out. All I'm saying is, like, I can feel something, and you go like hair. Like I've had cat hairs in my eyes, and I go like that, and I think, I felt that pull right round. And you're talking about popping your eyeballs right out of your head?
Yeah.
Dangling it and dipping it in a bucket of water.
Scrubbing it, cleaning it, and popping it back in. I'm just saying, if I've got flyworms in my eyes, that's coming straight out. I'm not waiting for them to come.
I did think of our episode of I clawed out my own eyeballs. Yeah. I'm not saying that I want eyeworms, but I'm saying if you ever were like, be careful around cows. Because that is how those 11 people, I don't know why I just did 4. That is why those 11 people got eyeball worms.
Yeah.
Because they were around a cow and then maybe went like that, rubbed their eyes, worm eggs. So
all right.
there. Yeah, cool. So don't touch your face if you're touching cows. I do touch cows. So really, it's just lucky that I haven't had any eyeball worms. But yeah, I thought that was interesting and informative for people that are around cows. So yeah.
All right, well, I'm sure we all appreciate that.
Yeah, wear goggles. And also, if you work with metal, you need to be aware, apparently, that at some point you're going to have to pop out your eyeball and rinse it in the sink.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Or just wear safety goggles.
Or just don't do that job.
No.
It's dangerous.
Right, random blams then are done.
Done!
Before we start the episode...
Oh, yeah.
Shall we do a small plea to the people?
Yeah.
If you are enjoying the episodes, if there is a favourite episode of yours, if you enjoy listening to us at all, just share on your socials one of our episodes, just so that there's a link there, or any episodes that are on our Facebook or anything like that. Share them on your profile just to get the word out to everybody else.
Yes, please. And if you know of anyone that enjoys these kind of stories and, you know, some of these mysteries and things like that, if you've got someone that you talk to about, you know, what happened to Bryce Laspisa and things like that, please, 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 please recommend our pod to them. Because if every one of our listeners then recommended it and got one other listener, it would be massive for us.
Yeah.
So, yes, please, please, please. Thank you very much.
Plea over.
Over. Done. Done. Well, I am just going to grab my notes and put them there.
I'm so excited that I'm not doing an episode today.
I know. Well, I just thought, how nice. You've done the last 4, so I haven't done an episode for like over a month. Yeah, so I'm ready. So I'm coming back in with the Squirm Trilogy again. This is volume 2. If you haven't listened to volume 1, they're not connected, but maybe after this episode, if you think, oh, I don't remember listening to that, give it a listen. It's episode 74, so it's been a while since. It's been a while since. And that was the Thanksgiving Day disaster, the story of Ronald McGlagish and Kyle Plush, which was tragic.
So I remember, I've only listened to it obviously when you told me, and I remember the furnace one where they fell through the roof and onto the bleh.
That was Thanksgiving Day disaster.
Was that what that was?
Well, they were watching the sports match, weren't they? And they all decided that they were going to go up on the roof of this building, and the roof collapsed. And I thought that was really a really good story. That
not for them.
No, very, very squirmy, very uncomfortable.
And when he got trapped in the cupboard with the water dripping.
No.
That made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
That was Kyle Plush, and
in the back seat of his car.
He leant over the back seat of his car to get his trainers, I believe.
No, that's awful.
And the seat twisted, and he ended up getting pinned kind of upside down in his car, and he died. So, yeah, this one also comes with a trigger warning. If you are in any way claustrophobic and cannot deal with listening about very tight, small, confined spaces, believe me, this is not the episode for you. If you're okay with it, then, nice to see you. Welcome. Come on in. But if you're not, move on. Because this one, all 3 of them are about very small, confined spaces.
Let's go.
Let's do it. So the first story is about Nutty Putty Cave and the story of John Jones. Nutty Putty Cave was a narrow hydrothermal cave system located west of Provo near Utah Lake. And I apologise if I get the pronunciation of that wrong. The cave became famous with local explorers because it was relatively easy to access. It attracted beginners and families. It contained extremely tight, winding passages with nicknames of the Birth Canal, the Scout Eater, and the Big Slide. The Big Slide sounds fun. The Scout Eater, not so much. So, quite honestly, this should have been everyone's first warning sign. But, by 2009, Nutty Putty had already developed a dangerous reputation. People frequently got stuck in there. Rescues were very common. Several near-fatal accidents had occurred, and the cave had been temporarily closed for a couple of years earlier, just purely because of safety concerns. Still, adventurous explorers continued visiting the cave, and one of which was a guy named John Jones. John Edward Jones was 26 years old. He was a medical student, he was married, and he was a father of a young daughter. He was deeply religious and described by family as very calm, kind and intelligent. In November 2009, John and his wife were expecting another child. He'd only recently been informed that his wife was pregnant and he was super excited about it. He was visiting family in Utah for Thanksgiving. So him and his wife and his daughter went down to Utah, and he decided that he was going to go cave exploring with his brother Josh and a couple of their friends. John had explored caves before, but he was not considered an expert spelunker by any standards. That distinction would become tragically important. November 24th, 2009. On that evening, John and his group of his brother and his friends went into Nutty Putty Cave at around 8 p.m, which seems late, doesn't it? That seems like 8 p.m. seems late to be going into a cave. I mean, I've done spelunking, never
Do they have to
gone
wait
into it.
Do they have to wait sometimes for like water levels to drop?
I mean they would in like coastal caves and things like that where it's affected by like the tide and things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just seems late to me to go in there at 8 p.m. But the group split up at points to explore different tunnels within the cave system. John and his brother began searching for the famous narrow section called the Birth Canal. The Birth Canal was notoriously tight. Explorers had to squeeze through tiny, tiny passages. Movement required twisting your body at precise angles. In some areas, the tunnel narrowed to about 10 inches wide, which is bonkers to me. Unfortunately, John made a catastrophic navigational mistake. He chose the wrong tunnel. Instead of entering the actual birth canal passage, John crawled into an unmapped crevice nearby. At first, the tunnel angled downwards quite steeply. John believed it would be fine, and eventually it would widen up. So he kept pushing forward. But the deeper he went, the passage became tighter. His body angle became steeper. Turning around just became impossible. Eventually, John slid headfirst into an extremely narrow vertical crack. He became lodged upside down at roughly 70 to 90 degree angle. His arms were pinned beneath him. His chest could barely expand. His hips became tightly wedged between the rock walls, and he was trapped approximately 100 feet underground. And there was almost no room around him at all. This is where the story becomes medically horrifying. Being upside down for long periods is extraordinarily dangerous. The human body is not built for it. Because John was inverted, the blood rushed towards his head. His heart struggled to pump the blood properly around his body, and pressure built up inside his skull. Breathing became increasingly difficult. His diaphragm could not expand hardly at all. Every breath required enormous effort. Over time, carbon dioxide builds up. Oxygen circulation worsens and the heart becomes strained and organs begin failing. And unlike hanging upside down briefly on the playground bars as a kid, John could not move even slightly to relieve any of this pressure. John's brother Josh eventually realised that something was very, very wrong. He located where John was, and all he could see was the sort of end of John's legs and his feet protruding from this really tiny hole. Josh attempted to pull himself to free John himself, but every attempt, it just seemed to wedge John tighter and tighter in this hole. It caused John a severe amount of pain trying to get out. John apparently was saying to his brother, I really, really just want to get out. I just want to get out. At that point, Josh said, I can't get you out, mate. I'm going to have to go and get help. So Josh left the cave system and called for rescue. The rescue quickly became one of the most difficult cave rescues in modern American history. More than 100 rescue personnel, cave experts, medical workers, volunteers all responded. The conditions were horrific. It was an extremely narrow passage to even get to him. The sharp rock walls were, so dangerous. They were cutting people as they were going past, trying to get down there. Every time they put ropes and things down there, the sharp rock walls were just kind of cutting through these ropes. It was completely pitch black. There was hardly any room for any kind of equipment, and the angles were so vertical. It was just so dangerous. Rescuers had to crawl for long distances, carrying ropes, pulleys, and climbing gear. Some passages were so tight that rescuers had to exhale just to be able to squeeze through. One of the rescuers who reached John was Susie Duffin, and she later described John as, she said he was remaining very calm. He was extraordinarily polite all the way through. He was cracking jokes despite being in absolute agony. And he was fully cooperative with all of the rescuers. At times he spoke with the family members through rescuers. He passed messages on, and he knew that the situation was very, very, very serious. But he remained hopeful. Imagine being upside down, underground, for hours, while hearing people desperately trying to save you, and they're only inches away, but they just can't get to you, and still trying to stay positive. That is psychological strength on another level. Rescuers eventually built an elaborate rope and pulley system. The plan was to attach the ropes to John's legs, slowly pull him upward, rotate his body enough to free his hips. And for a while, it actually appeared to work. John reportedly moved several inches. Rescuers believed that this was going to work. This was going to happen. Then disaster struck. One of the pulley anchors failed. The rope system suddenly snapped loose, and John slid deeper back into the crevice. He slid even deeper than he was in before. Any progress that was made was lost instantly. Rescuers later admitted morale collapsed at that moment, because now John was even more tightly trapped. He was exhausted. His circulation had deteriorated so badly. The rescue became exponentially harder. As time passed, John became less responsive. His breathing weakened. His body was shutting down. Doctors at the scene knew prolonged inversion was becoming unsurvivable. And at approximately midnight on November 25th, going into November 26th, 2009, John stopped responding altogether. Rescuers could no longer detect any signs of life, and he was pronounced dead after roughly 28 hours trapped upside down. The official cause of death was cardiac arrest, resulting from prolonged positional asphyxia and psychological and physical stress caused by inversion. In simpler terms, his body literally could not survive being upside down for that long. After John died, rescuers considered retrieving his remains, but the cave was now considered extraordinarily dangerous. Several factors made his recovery nearly impossible. The tunnel was unbelievably narrow. Rescuers themselves risked becoming trapped. Loose rocks threatened to collapse certain tunnels that were already disastrous. And another equipment failure could potentially kill additional people. Officials ultimately made the devastating decision that they would leave John where he died. The section of cave containing his body was sealed permanently. Concrete was poured into parts of the passage, and today Nutty Putty Cave is a memorial site, and you can see that there is a plaque in commemoration of John Jones, and it remains on the side of that cave to this day. The tragedy that shocked the world, it became the most infamous case because of the nature that he was kind of left there. The prolonged rescue, everyone thought that many people, that much equipment, they're going to be able to get him out, you know. But I think the world was just horrified that they weren't ever able to get him out, even after death. Yeah, John's story later inspired documentaries, books, and the 2016 film called The Last Descent, which I did actually watch. And to this day, it is still considered one of the most terrifying accidental deaths ever documented, because unlike many disasters, there was no sudden impact, no explosion, no instant death, just a man trapped in the darkness, unable to move, slowly losing strength while dozens and dozens of people fought desperately to reach him. And that's the part that stays with people. And that is the story of Nutty Putty Cave.
Gosh, I didn't realise he was there for 28 hours.
It's awful, isn't it? Do you know
so awful.
what I was thinking of the whole time was Kendrick Johnson.
I had in my head, actually, I was going to ask you, how on earth, because Kendrick was in the rolled up mats for not even a quarter of that time, was he?
No. And I don't know, with Kendrick, you think it is absolutely possible that he could have died or would have died from being upside down. But what I don't understand is it wasn't that he was crushed within that mat. Yeah. I know he couldn't move much, and he wouldn't have been able to like rock himself backwards and forwards to get it over because the edges of the mat were really, really wide. Yeah. So there was no easily tipping that over. But yeah, I think with Kendrick, it was just a case of like, why? And also, why wouldn't someone have heard him? Because he would have been able to shout. Yeah.
And also, I think the cave situation was so much more confining. So he would have been absolutely stuck with no room to breathe. Like, I've seen the pictures of him in that cave, and like he's completely wedged. There's just no there's no way he could move. So even to breathe, it's so difficult.
Oh, it's just hideous.
For him to have lasted 28 hours, I had no idea it was that long.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was just about to say so uncomfortable, but I mean that just doesn't even cut it. But
no, but also, I mean, I've never understood spelunking. Well, I don't understand the need to be going through spaces that small.
I mean, me and my sister did in America, and if something had, I mean, it could have very easily happened to us. I mean, I didn't. This was years ago. I'd never heard stories like this. If I'd heard stories like this, I definitely wouldn't have done some of the things that we did. some of the caves that we went into, they kind of like dip right down low. So it's quite literally maybe a foot in height, you know, and you've got the floor of the cave, and then you've got the top of the cave that comes all the way down, and you've got a foot. I would take my backpack off. It was only a small backpack. Take my backpack off, push it through the cave, and then I would lay on my back with my hands over my head, and my sister would get my feet and push me under. And then I would literally be going through, feeling the top of the cave. And I only had like the length of my body. And if the cave didn't then, you know, come up the other side so that there was more room, I'd shout to her and say no. And she'd have to pull me by my feet, pull me back out. That's, you know, amazing. and then you hear stories like this. I mean, to us, it was cool. It was an adventure. You know, it's some of our best times. Like when we look back now, I'm like, do you remember when we were in that cave and we were like 100 or so feet underground? On the surface would be like desert. It would be hot. But then we were like 100 or so feet underground, and we would go so deep that the floor of the cave would turn to ice, and you could see feet and feet of ice, where at some point obviously there was water that had run down there from like rainfall or whatever, and then it had just frozen, you know. So it was exciting to us, and it was great fun. But hearing these stories, I think there's no chance I'd do that now, not in a million years. I mean, I wouldn't fit under a lot of the rocks now, but at the time I was like, I don't know, 19 or something. So
you'd be like, there's no room, I'm stuck. But it's 7 feet wide. What are you talking about?
Just pull me out. Don't question it. Just pull me out. We're not even in the cave yet. It's just the mouth of the cave. Just fucking pull me out. Don't fucking... Why you got to do that? Next story is about Floyd Collins. Allow me to begin. So, long before 24-hour news channels, viral disasters or crime documentaries, there was Floyd Collins. His death in 1925 became one of the first real media frenzies in American history. A horrifying mix of human tragedy, public spectacle, and desperate rescue attempts deep underground. And honestly, the entire thing feels like something halfway between a nightmare and a bit of a strange travelling circus. Because while one man slowly died trapped beneath the earth, thousands of people turned up outside to watch. Floyd Collins was born in 1887, a cave explorer from rural Kentucky, part of a family obsessed with caves and tourism. Experienced, fearless, and known locally for exploring dangerous underground systems. Now, at the time, Kentucky cave tourism was booming, and that was a thing. The Kentucky cave tourism. So that was a new thing. It was like, you know, come and adventure around these cave systems, and you know, it's like nothing you've ever experienced before, and people were loving it. They were eating it up. Nearby Mammoth Cave was becoming world famous. Landowners hoped discovering new caves would make them rich through the tourism. Floyd desperately wanted to find a spectacular, undiscovered cave, a cave that could rival Mammoth Cave, a route that tourists would pay to come and see and investigate. This obsession led him directly into disaster. So in January 1925, Floyd began exploring a small cave system later known as Sand Cave. The cave sat on private land near Cave City, Kentucky. There's a lot of caves in this particular story. Cave City. Sand Cave in Cave City, Kentucky. Floyd believed it might connect to a much larger, unexplored network of caves. He started widening passages and crawling deeper and deeper inside. The cave itself was extremely unstable. Tight limestone tunnels, loose rock, sand and debris that shifted very easily, narrow crawl spaces barely large enough for a person. Exactly the kind of place your survival instincts scream at you to avoid. Floyd ignored all of his survival instincts, and on January 30th, Floyd entered Sand Cave alone, carrying an oil lantern, a little bit of food, and some very, very basic tools. He crawled deep inside a cramped tunnel approximately 150 feet underground. It was then that disaster struck. Whilst squeezing through a very tight passage, a rock had dislodged from the ceiling and dropped. This, not really considered a rock, it was a boulder. It was very, very large. And luckily, it didn't land on Floyd. And when I say it didn't land on him, it didn't land on his leg. It kind of landed next to his leg, but it pinned him. So it kind of landed next to his leg, but then kind of pushed into his leg. So his leg wasn't crushed, but it was definitely trapped. It pinned him against the cave wall and he could not move at all. The passage around him was super, super narrow. He couldn't fully turn his body, and because he'd gone in there alone, nobody knew where he was. After Floyd had failed to return home, family and friends started to look for him. Eventually, they thought he's probably gone back to that same cave, he's the one he's been going on and on about, so let's go and look there. So they went and they found him in this cave. They found that he was pinned by this big boulder. They couldn't move it, so they said, right, we need to get some rescuers. Floyd was conscious, he was calm, he was in pain, but he was hopeful. He was like, do you know what, now rescue has arrived, everything's going to be all right. At first, everyone believed that they could simply, move some of these looser rocks and boulders and things and get him out. They had no idea that this would become one of the most infamous rescue failures in American history. The main problems were catastrophic. The tunnel was unbelievably tight. Only one rescuer at a time could even get to where Floyd was. The boulder pinning his leg weighed hundreds and hundreds of pounds. The surrounding cave walls were extremely unstable. So rescuers very carefully began digging around him, attempting to chip away rock, expand the tunnel, but every movement risked another cave collapse, another boulder falling from the ceiling and potentially crushing them or Floyd completely. Meanwhile, Floyd remained stuck in the freezing darkness. The newspapers arrived, and suddenly this stopped being just a rescue and it became America's biggest live drama. Reporters flooded to Kentucky from across the country. One journalist in particular changed everything. William Burke Miller. Miller crawled into the cave and had a whole interview with Floyd directly, completely underground, while this whole rescue attempt was going on. He was like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get the news. I'm going to get the exclusive interview. His vivid newspaper reports captured Floyd's conversations. He described the claustrophobic conditions, turned the trapped cave explorer into a national sensation. Americans became absolutely obsessed with it. Daily papers printed updates like it was some kind of serialized drama show. Radio station.
This was in like the very early 1900s.
1925. Yeah. It's the first viral story.
This might be really silly of me, but I didn't realise they had like newspapers.
Okay. My nan was born in 1912.
All right, was it in the news?
Yeah. So daily papers printed updates. Radio stations were talking. They had radios, Sarah.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, they did. They had podcasts. Radio stations discussed it constantly. People across the country followed every single detail. They were loving it. And thousands of spectators, this is wild, thousands of spectators travelled to the rescue site. Vendors sold food, vendors sold souvenirs, traffic jams were clogging all the nearby rural roads. People treated the disaster like it was entertainment, and they were absolutely loving it. Crowds, get this, crowds estimated at over 10,000 people gathered near the cave entrance. Imagine, this man was slowly dying underground, and above, people bought hot dogs, children were playing, entrepreneurs were selling postcards. It became one of the earliest examples of disaster tourism in modern America. Floyd's condition worsened daily, and yes, daily. He was trapped in near freezing temperatures, cramped conditions, and almost total darkness. Rescuers would bring him food, water, blankets, but his position was absolutely agonising. His body was twisted awkwardly. His circulation to his crushed leg was deteriorating. Infection likely developed. Exhaustion definitely set in. And at times, Floyd was reported to have really badly hallucinated. Still, he reported, surprisingly composed. Some rescuers later described him as remarkably brave, despite knowing that his chances were shrinking by the day and then eventually by the hour. Rescuers eventually attempted a massive operation, digging a shaft directly from above all the way down to where they worked out that Floyd was. This became a huge engineering effort, and it involved miners, drilling teams, volunteers. For a while, hope surged again. Then a further collapse happened inside the cave, and falling debris blocked passages. They delayed rescue efforts and just made everything so much harder. And now time really was running out. As days passed, Floyd became weaker and weaker. Communication became more difficult, and his physical condition deteriorated rapidly. A combination of exposure, dehydration, crushing injuries, and just pure exhaustion was destroying his body. On February 16th, 1925, after roughly 7 days of being trapped underground, Floyd Collins died. The official cause of death was believed to be exposure, starvation, exhaustion, complications from crush injuries, and he was 37 years old. Even after Floyd died, the nightmare wasn't over. His body could still not be easily removed. The cave remained completely unstable. Rescuers faced enormous danger trying to retrieve him. Ultimately, they left Floyd's body inside Sandy Cave temporarily. He remained trapped there for months, and eventually workers managed to recover his remains, and that was much later in 1925, after an even bigger excavation. But believe it or not, the story suddenly just becomes even stranger. If you thought that was impossible, when they recovered Floyd's body, he was buried. He was given a proper burial and a funeral. And after some time, I believe a couple of weeks, someone dug his grave up and took his body. So his body was stolen out of his grave. It was later recovered again, and buried again. Floyd's remains were reportedly put on public display in a crystal casket as a tourist attraction connected to the cave business. But when I read it up, I don't know how true that is. There was quite a few cases that said that is true. But then apparently he was later buried again. But it's one of America's earliest live rescue spectacles, and a blueprint for cave entrapment disasters. It influenced different rescue procedures, cave safety awareness, disaster journalism, and public fascination with survival stories, as we know, because our survival stories that you do are very popular. And we love to hear a good rescue story, but unfortunately this is not one of them. Many historians consider it one of the first modern, breaking news events. And today, Sand Cave still exists, and it is preserved as a historic site. Floyd Collins became a folk legend, a symbol of exploration gone wrong, and one of the most famous cave victims in history. His story inspired books, documentaries, songs, stage musicals, countless survival stories, and nearly every modern trapped underground rescue story at some point gets compared to Floyd Collins. And it teaches us that sometimes rescuers can reach you. They can talk to you, they can feed you, they can hear you, but still not be able to save you. And that is the story of Floyd Collins.
How many days was he there?
17.
Oh, man.
But it goes to show, doesn't it? It depends on the angle. Because obviously he wasn't upside down.
Yeah.
He was trapped because a boulder had fallen and trapped his leg.
Yeah.
And he survived for 17 days and succumbed to exhaustion and exposure.
Yeah, it's just such a long time to just lay there,
awful.
Knowing that you're gonna die at any possible minute, and feeling yourself getting weaker and weaker and weaker. It's just
24/7 for 17 days, just laying in one spot, freezing cold, pitch black. Right, story number 3, the last one of this Squirm Trilogy, is Larry Eli Murillo Moncada. Hopefully I got that somewhere right. This case sounds less like a real event and more like one of those internet horror stories where, when people go, oh, it happened to a friend of a friend. It sounds like it's one of those stories, but it is completely real. So it's about a young man who vanished without a trace in 2009. Possible portal? Not this time. Larry was born in 1989, originally from Honduras, living in Council Bluffs with his family. He was 25 years old when he disappeared. According to family members, Larry struggled with some mental health difficulties. He reportedly became anxious and disorientated at times. He was also taking medication that could sometimes cause a little bit of confusion. Friends and relatives described him as quiet and kind. Nothing suggested his disappearance would have become one of the strangest missing person discoveries of all time. On the night of November 28th, 2009, Larry became quite upset during an argument with his parents. Reports say that he was agitated and confused. He ran out of the family home and he was barefoot. This was especially dangerous because temperatures outside at that time were freezing. There was snow, it was icy, and Larry had left not only without shoes, but any kind of proper clothing. His parents became worried straight away, and when he didn't return home, the police were contacted. Searches began. Missing persons reports circulated, but Larry had seemingly vanished into thin air. His family continued searching. Local police investigated leads. Sightings were reported occasionally. Theories circulated about what they thought might have happened. Portals probably were discussed, I would have thought. That's the logical answer. Some feared that he had succumbed to hypothermia, foul play, abduction, but no evidence ever surfaced. And over time, the case went cold. Years then passed. Most people assumed Larry would just never be found. Portal. Then in January 2019, just over 9 years later, workers began removing old equipment units from an old supermarket that had closed down some years before and had been sitting empty for about 3 years. As they were removing the equipment, human remains were discovered in a narrow gap behind the old freezers. Authorities were called immediately, and the body was heavily decomposed and partially mummified. Investigators quickly began comparing the remains to local missing person cases. Soon afterward, the remains were identified as Larry Eli Murillo Moncada. Nearly 10 years after he vanished, it was confirmed that Larry had fallen in this gap while the freezers were still in operation. At his time of death was around 9 years, which would have been when the supermarket was still fully functioning. Police reconstructed what most likely happened, and that was this was a supermarket where Larry had worked previously. Not when he went missing, but worked there before that. Larry had climbed onto the freezer units and potentially accidentally fell into the narrow gap behind them. He became trapped upside down or wedged tightly and could not escape. The noise of the compressors of the freezers prevented anyone from hearing him. Investigators stated that there was no evidence of foul play. The death was ruled an accident, but despite official explanation, the case horrified people worldwide because of one terrifying idea, that he may have been alive back there for some time, while the supermarket continued operating normally around him. That possibility is what makes this story linger in people's minds. Employees said that strange noises had occasionally been heard, but workers assumed that it was simply, freezers making those clanging and banging noises that they sometimes do when the compressor comes on and off, and nothing more. The Larry case exploded online because it touched several primal fears. Being trapped and unable to call for help, dying unnoticed in a crowded place, disappearing without answers, being physically close to people who have no idea that you're there. It also felt disturbingly plausible. No secret tunnels, no conspiracy, just a narrow gap, loud machinery, bad luck, and a place nobody thought to look. Today, the story of Larry Eli Murillo Moncada is frequently discussed alongside bizarre missing person cases, accidental entrapment deaths, urban legends, and for Larry's family, the discovery finally ended nearly a decade of uncertainty. The tragic truth was that, at least they finally knew what happened to him. And honestly, the brutal thing about this case is for nearly 10 years, people imagined all kinds of horrifying possibilities. The truth turned out to be something even stranger, was that he never really disappeared at all. Which makes me wonder about, the ugly tuna saloona. Because I keep thinking that. I keep thinking maybe it is something like this where he'll
be found at some point.
Yeah. Are they going to literally tear the building apart? I know it's been redone since then, but are they going to tear the whole thing apart and find his remains and find that he actually was there all along?
Maybe.
Yeah. But I apologise because Sarah did actually tell me that she has covered that case in episode 130. My apologies.
But you did it so much better.
You're so kind, but you're a liar.
But it is that horrible thought of, like, nobody knows. Yes, they might have found him now behind the freezer, but what happened?
It's too fucking late. I know.
Yeah.
Why? Why would he have climbed up?
Well, I think it was it was off his meds or something. He did have some sort of mental health issues. So, but
yeah.
Why was he not seen climbing up and over the?
It's just bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very odd.
Really,
and how
really
long
strange.
was he there before he died?
But that's what haunts me about Kyle Plush as well, being trapped in his car, was that there was people around.
Yeah.
When
but he
was
called the police
when
well,
he was panicking. Yeah. When he was panicking, he was like, "Oh my God, I'm stuck." It's just hideous. It's just hideous. Yeah, that proper primal fear of suddenly thinking, "Oh my God, I'm actually in a really bad position here, and I'm gonna die. Unless someone helps me, I'm gonna die." And hearing people and having people around you and
that level
things
of
like
desperation.
That. Yeah. Even like when you hear these stories about like someone that gets stabbed or something and they're left like in a bush and they're like dying and they can hear people and see people walking past the bushes and all that, and they're lying there and they're going to die. And I think that is just it's just a hideous.
Well, the other day, me and Josie were coming back from somewhere, and I was driving, and I saw something obviously driving on the left-hand side, and then on the curb on the left-hand side, I saw something further up, and I was like, what on earth is that? And I realised it was a lady, an elderly lady had fallen. So I just stopped my car in the road, and me and Josie jumped out to help her. She'd fallen on her way to the shops, and me and Josie jumped out to help her up. And she'd said we were the first person that had stopped. Cars had just been driving past her, and no one had stopped. And she must have been laying there, not able to get up, thinking, I hope somebody stops. I really hope somebody
that's
stops.
hideous.
And that's a horrible thought.
Oh, well done to you guys. Blimey.
Yeah,
That
we
could have
walked her
ended really
home.
badly for her.
I know, bless her. She only like lived up the road, but she'd walked from her house to the shop to get a newspaper. Like she said, I do it every day. She was dressed in her skirt and tights. She was like really like prim and proper, and she was so
Yeah.
embarrassed that she'd ripped a hole in her tights and scraped her knee.
Oh, well done you, because that could have been a lot worse for her if she'd been left like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are pricks. Well done. All right. Well, that's me for today.
For today,
Yeah.
and then again next week. Woohoo!
And then again next week. Yeah, I've got
All
a
right,
monstery one next week, and next
Oh.
week's one's going to be a blam.
Cool.
So if you want to hear about these monsters,
Join a Blamley.
they're get on there and join the Blamley, and they're very plausible stories.
Oh, yeah. Plausible by whose standards? Yours or mine?
Not by yours.
Fucking portals.
If it was by yours, we wouldn't have any kind of cryptid section in this at all.
No.
But yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Oh well, you're welcome, and I will see you all next week.
See you
Well,
later.
see some of you next week.
Yeah.
If I want to see all of you next week, then join the Blamley for just $5 a month. All right.
See you on
Have
the
a great
flip
week.
side.
See you on the flip side. Bye.
Bye.
That might be it for today's episode, but if you fancy even more weird and wonderful episodes,
Head over to perplexedpodcast.com and become a Blamley member for just $5 a month.
you'll get an extra episode every month, plus loads of juicy bonus bits, like really in-depth case files.
All the links are in the show notes.
Come hang out with us on socials too.
And don't forget to follow the show and drop us a cheeky review.
Until next time, bye.
Bye. I need a fan or something.
Quick! Don't panic, it makes it worse.
Oh God.
Always keep something. It's too late for her.
It's too late for me. Oh God.
Fan yourself.
Oh, quickly, I must send you the 8 episodes and you can do it on your own. Oh God. Oh, it's burning my eyes.